Let's do it. Let's go live. Let's go live. We're live. Hey, everybody. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the big show. It's your buddy here, Bruce, from Traveling with Bruce. Hope you're doing okay today. Today's date is Monday, June 10, 2024. So welcome to all of you from the city of Calgary, Alberta, where Jennifer and I are at home, and we're plotting our upcoming travels. We are now booking up our summer vacay. We've got our vacation already booked now for this ship right here, the Queen Mary 2. We're booked on this baby. There it is. We're ready to roll there. We're going to be leaving New York City in August, late August, heading for Southampton, and we'll see the Statue of Liberty as we head out of Brooklyn. We're looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing all the features of the ship, the lobby area and the restaurant area and all that good stuff. I'm not sure about that spa. I may or may not be visiting that spa. It's pretty expensive. We'll have to figure that one out. There's our a look at the kind of cabin we have with a sheltered balcony. Here's another view of another one. So that's coming up. We're going to do that cruise. Then we're doing a second cruise out of Southampton. We go back to back. We land at Southampton, and later the same day, we head out, and we're going to go right around the UK and catch up to Donnell and Cork, Ireland, if it all works out. Quite looking forward to it. There's our itinerary in England, Southampton to Edinburgh on the September 1, Isle of May, and then we're going to Ivor and Isle of Skye. And September 5, we'll be in Glasgow. Liverpool for a couple of nights, Sea Day, and then Ringaskiddy, Ireland, which is Cork. And then Sea Day and over to Southampton. So that's our cruise. So we've got that done. We've got our hotel booked in New York before the cruise. We have our hotel booked after our return cruise because we're coming back from Hamburg, Germany to New York. And this is our itinerary here. Hamburg, leaving October 15, going to Southampton after a couple of days, Paris, then across the Atlantic to Brooklyn again, and we'll be in New York from the 25th to the, I think it's the 29th or something like that. We're trying to organize get-togethers, and we'll let you know what we know when we know it, and kind of go from there. So hopefully we can do a meet and greet. In the meantime, we're still trying to figure out our accommodation situation. We need to put accommodations together for after we get up to Queen Mary in Southampton, Queen Mary 2, and we're looking for accommodation in London for 2 weeks. Then we fly to Zurich, and we're looking to get to Zermatt for about 2 weeks, then to Hamburg, and then we'll head her out from there. That's kind of the big picture, and we'll see if anything is adjustable in the middle of all that. But we're very much looking forward to this one, and I think we're going to really enjoy the Queen Mary 2. I think we're going to be very happy on there. If any of you are going to be on the QE2 on any of those three cruises, we'll see it. Otherwise, maybe we can catch up with some of you in Europe or even in New York. Can't wait for that. I've been going over a lot of details about cruising since now that Jen and I are getting back into cruising. I mean, finally going to be on a cruise ship 3 times in just a 2-month period. We're thinking also of a possible cruise that might take place when if we can pull off the next big trip we're trying to do, which is a Australia-New Zealand trip. We're kind of thinking we might be able to do a trip from Australia to New Zealand, which will go around part of New Zealand, end in Auckland. So that one is also being kind of looked into. We haven't done any digging yet, but while we are digging, while I am looking up, I'm trying to figure out what cruise lines to avoid for our demographic of cruiser, what cruise ships we want to embrace, which cruise lines do we wish to really go after. What I will never be, because I'm now 68 going on 69 this year, I'm never going to be a YouTuber that tries every single cruise line there is and be full-time on cruise ships all the time, take a cruise a month sort of thing, 12 cruises a year. I can't see that happening with my other channel, of course, and with Jennifer and I being a little older now, we don't have that energy that we had 30, 40 years ago. And so, we can't be that active. But when we do go on a ship, we want it to work for us. We want the amenities to be the amenities we want to use. We don't want to be on a cruise to be paying a cruise fare and only 20% of the ship's features appeal to us. So we're basically compensating for all the other passengers' happiness and only getting 20% of the features that we really want. We don't want to be doing that. So I'm going to be more picky going forward on the next cruise line. The Cunard line is perfect for us. Of course, it's not known as a child activity cruise line, not like Disney or Royal Caribbean or Norwegian. Obviously, the events that they're going to hold on the ship will be far more suited for the age of the cruiser on board Cunard. Makes sense. Holland America, that would make sense. Viking Cruise Line, that makes sense. And of course, the 6-star lines like Seabourn, Regent Seven Seas, and others would make sense. So today, I thought what I would do is I would review with you folks a couple of things. I was going to talk to you about cruise ship tipping, because that's always a topic of bone of contention, and those costs just go up all the time, which is amazing. But I wanted to ask you, if you're able to, would you mind considering filling out my poll question? I put a poll question on this show today to see if any of you have ever gone to a cruise, been on a cruise, and have you ever attempted or were you motivated to go to the main desk, the customer service desk, and have your tipping reduced or eliminated from your daily tip charge? Had something happened on the cruise, or something happened with the staff that just didn't work out for you? Or do you prefer a lower tip charge per day and then make cash tips on your own to certain key people instead? Whatever your reasoning is. So far, about 22 of you have answered the poll question today. Thank you for that. And of the if you want to be of the 22 votes, 14% of you have said nope, I've never tried to reduce the tip, and 86% of you said sorry, I should rephrase that. 14% of you said, yes, I have tried to reduce the tip, and 87% no, I haven't, or 86% said I have not ever tried to reduce the tip on the cruise. I'm also curious, do most of you are most of you happy to prepay for your tips before you even take your cruise, especially the daily one, obviously? I mean, if you're buying the drink package pre-cruise, your tipping is already added into that. If you're booking any kind of a spa treatment in advance, that tipping's already in there. Obviously, on the ship, if you order room service, that'll be added on, because they don't know in advance, neither do you, how many times you're going to use room service. And of course, if you don't have a drink package, you'll be charged a tip every time you buy a drink, depending on the cruise line. I have some here that are surprisingly, they vary, and some don't have tipping at all. Anyway, I'm curious about that. In the meantime, I'm going to say hi to a few people who are here. Robert, thank you for being here as always. Sharon, number 4 tonight. Ken Correcca, hi, Bruce and all from Ken in Saginaw, Michigan. The temperature is 68. It's clear. It's kind of what we have, 68 degrees. Gasoline, $3.47 a gallon. Good evening, and we're number thumbs up on the thumbs up meter. Thank you for these thumbs ups, everybody. Kirk Brunson, hi, Bruce and TWB family. Kirk from New York City is here, and I'm at work at lunch right now. Alan Fiddler, I love your show. Thanks, Alan. Sharon, enjoy your cruises. Oh, we will. Debbie Manuel, I have never adjusted the fee, but I guess slipping in more money is really adjusting, tips on a cruise, and that's true. You upping it. Ms. M, hello, Bruce. Number 10, thumbs up for you tonight. Gas prices are finally reasonable at $1.57 a liter. Shane, I've been eyeing an Alaskan cruise for this summer. I'm trying to time it to see whales, wildlife, and ashore. Debbie is saying also, please do not forget to post about your vacations. We'll be living through you too, all of your vacation posts. Oh, there will be videos. I can assure you. And if the internet allows it, if the internet is a good quality on board the ship, and I'm led to believe it is, I might be able to do live shows from the Queen Mary. So I definitely will be posting videos on all three of the cruises on the Queen Mary for certain, and anything else. So stand by for that. Sharon, on a different topic, are you happy with the Stanley Cup final matchup? Yeah, I guess. There's a couple of things you can think about. One, Florida's back in. They didn't make it last year. Maybe they'll win this year. First time winner. There's Edmonton for Canada. That Canada has a team in the finals in the first time in quite a while. Although it's, for us in Alberta here, we're 180 miles south of Edmonton. Those are our arch enemies. So to have our arch enemies, and it's kind of like having the Eagles in the Super Bowl and the Steelers don't care. The Steelers are in the Super Bowl and the Eagles don't care. And it's one of the. But all in all, it is what it is. Tim Bowman, greetings from a sunny Seattle today. We have 3 more cruises booked in 2024 and 3 in early 25. Rock and roll. Tim Bowman, number 13 on the thumbs up meter. Thank you, Tim. Fabulous. Margie Butcher, we love Holland America, man. We just love it. Donnell, hello, Bruce, and everybody. Hoping you and Jen enjoy your cruises and land travels through the summer and the fall. This port, Ringaskiddy, is just 5 miles down the road from me. Roll on, baby. Right on, man. We are looking forward to catching up with you. Susan Starry, never saw so many crying toddlers and babies on a cruise like my most recent cruise on Royal Caribbean. Isn't that interesting? This is something that is important to Jennifer and I. We are not interested in being on a ship with a ton of screaming kids. We're not interested in seeing teenagers having a great time. We just don't want to be on that kind of a holiday. Similar, of course, to when we, when we go to a resort place, or we go to like Switzerland. We're not going to where children are going to hang out necessarily. But yeah, on cruises, there are certain cruise lines you can go to if you want to really look after the kids, and certain cruise lines if you want to avoid them at all costs, of course. Interesting, Susan. As Sharon, I've had my tipping explained to me when it was higher than I expected, but I've never adjusted it. Shane, there's a lot of staff behind the scenes who share that gratuity, so I leave it as it is and cash tip those who go above and beyond. Susan, I prepay tips in my case. Margie, I prefer prepaying these tips too. Keith, I prepay too. Donnell, a big hi to you, Debbie, Tom, Sharon, Kirk, and all from Donnell in Ireland. Shane, drink packages are cheaper if purchased prior to the sale date. Tim Bowman, I almost never prepay the tip. I may do it for a couple of upcoming cruises just to simplify the bookkeeping. Kirk Brunson, I prepaid on only 2 of my 6 cruises. And hi there, Donnell from Kirk. Donnell, I thought I was number 8. Counter's acting up on me again. Tim Bowman, Shane, Juneau is the location for a good whale watching. There's a spot. Donnell, yes, live shows from Queen Mary 2 would be fabulous. Ken, correct. We always pay the set tip fee. We also give a cash tip to our room steward at the end of the cruise. Also, we give a cash tip in the specialty restaurants. There you go. Donnell, sounds like a Disney cruise. Sharon, hi, Donnell. How are you? Jennifer and I, in our past cruises, we've prepaid quite often. We've prepaid quite often. I would think 3/4 of the time. But we also leave cash tips, especially when we, in the early days of, when we were cruising in 2008 until 15, our room stewards were always looking after them. Because I'm a Diet Coke drinker, I just get caffeine free or Diet Coke on board the ship, or Diet Pepsi if it is, whatever it is. And Jennifer, she might have a glass of wine or something, but The tips are automatically included in those charges on board the ship, so we don't have to worry about it. I don't hang out at bars on board cruise ships. I'm not a bar leaner. Neither is Jennifer. So really nothing there. But I believe it was on it was on one ship that we were on. I can't remember the exact ship it was on, but Jen was poolside one day, and they had a deal on board the ship. It was one of those you get a bucket of beer, and you got glass bottles in a bucket full of ice, and you would get something like 6 beers for $20 or $15, whatever the amount was. It doesn't matter what the amount was, but Jen enjoyed, I think, one or two of those on a sunny day. Took the beer container, the bucket, with her back to her room. She forgot to put the beer bottles in the fridge. She left them in the bucket. So the next morning, when she wanted to go back to the pool the next time, the beers were warm. So she went to the bartender and explained the situation, that I have 4 of my 6 beers left, but they're warm. Oh, no problem at all. So he took the 4 beers out of there, put ice in the bucket, put 4 fresh ones, cold ones in, and she slipped them a couple of bucks. And yeah, that was a nice little gesture on both sides. Very good, very very good. All right. Sharon, Japan is not a tipping culture. It was really refreshing not to have to worry about tipping on our recent trip. Kirk, surprisingly, on my MSC Divina, I saw teens out at 2 o'clock and further in the morning. That's not good. That can't be good. There you go. Anyway, there it is. So on the tipping side of things, I took a look today at the tipping rates that are charged by cruise lines, and thought I'd mention them to you to kind of, have you think about some of these lines might be your favorites. Some of them you may have never been on before. And in the case of, for example, Carnival Cruise Lines, excuse me, Carnival, and I'm showing $16 a day mandatory tip or tip charge per passenger if you're in a standard type room, balcony, inside, ocean view. If you're in a suite, you're going to pay $18 a day per person. And the drinks and services are 18% gratuity. On Celebrity, this is interesting to me, $18 is the standard tip, $2 more, $18.50 in the Aqua Club, and $23 a day per person in the retreat. So, you rent a retreat room, you're going to pay $23 a day. That's $46 a day for two. 20% beverage tip, by the way, 20% on services. So, you take a 7-day cruise on Celebrity. You may have got a good deal on your cruise, but you're going to pay 46 times 7 in tipping, and that's $280 and $448, $328 in tipping charges on top of the cruise for the two of you. 20% on beverage. On Cunard, the cruise line Jen and I are going to be on, it's $16 a day standard. That's what we'll be paying. For the Queen's and or Princess level, those are the larger units. Those are $18 a day, quite $5 a day lower than Celebrity. Tipping on drinks, 15%. That's one of the lowest tipping rates for beverages we found. Disney, I was curious about Disney because you obviously have children on board and adults. $14.50 a day standard, $15.50 a day concierge service, and 18% beverage charge added automatically. MSC, it runs the gamut, $10 to $15 a day, depending on what time of the year, what the region the ship is in, which ship you're on. So it's not a standard across the fleet price. A 50% tip for children between 2 and 11. So if mom and dad are paying $15 each, the kids are paying $7.50. Under 2 years old, no charge. NCL Norwegian. These guys are the worst. Always have been, as many of you know. $20 a day for standard tipping charges now on Norwegian cruise lines. That's $140 for a 1-week cruise per person. $25 a day for the Haven. That's a little more than Celebrities, the retreat. And 20% tip on beverages and services. And so they're just jacking the rates. Norwegian is in such trouble financially. They try to come off with these happy stories and wonderful press releases. Oh, we're booked at the highest level in our history, and demand for our cruises are very high, and da da da. But at the end of the day, their interest charges for their loans that they've taken out to stay alive are crippling their bottom line. Their depreciation rate on their ships continues to go along. I mean, salt water wreaks havoc on metal hulled ships. And Norwegian's fleet every day is getting older and older. And yeah, there are new ships coming, but older ships are leaving the fleet just as quickly. And so, yeah, more expensive ships, more efficient. I will grant you that. To operate a new cruise ship today is less per passenger in cost because of the better efficiencies, but you are paying the top dollar to get them constructed these days, with everything to build a ship going up in cost dramatically. So to replace a cruise ship today versus 10 years ago, unfathomable. I think that a decade ago, for example, the good people at Royal Caribbean, when they were building their original Oasis class ships, the Allure of the Seas and the Oasis of the Seas, these early versions of these mega ships, they were like 800 million, 900 million. The latest Icon of the Seas, if I'm not mistaken, 1.5 billion, 50% more minimum. There's more ship now than before, of course, but the cost is dramatic. No wonder they're as big as they are. It's amazing. So NCL, yeah, they're charging a 20% tip. So if you're on one of the older NCL ships that was built for 180 million, 280, 300 million dollars 15, 20 years ago, you're paying $40 a day a couple to be on that ship. And if you're in a Haven Club on some of these newer ships, $50 a day for two people, tipping charge mandatory. Do you want to take that off? Royal RCL Royal Caribbean, $18 a day for standard, $20.50 for suites, 18% beverage charge. And going through some of these other cruise lines, I noticed that Viking, which is 18 and older for passengers, must be 18 and older, $17 per guest is the flat tipping charge, and there's a 15% beverage tipping charge added. That's it. But if you order, if you're at lunch or dinner, you get wine and beer complimentary as part of your cruise for dinners. And so you don't have to pay a gratuity. I don't believe you pay gratuity for the wine and the beer. Unless someone is here that's been on a Viking cruise, please correct me if I'm incorrect on that. But I don't think you're going to be charged a tipping charge for dinner, a glass of wine with dinner. Glass of wine during the day, after dinner, beer at the pool, or having a beer in the casino, I would imagine you are charged a 15% tip. Virgin Cruises, Richard Branson's cruise line, no tipping of any kind, and no children, 18 and over. No specialty restaurants. All restaurants are included in Virgin, not Atlantic, but Virgin Cruises. Where with some of these cruise lines, like for example, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, MSC, Disney, I'm sure, Cunard, Celebrity, Carnival, all their sister lines. You go into a specialty restaurant, and it's a $10 charge, a $20 charge, a $60 charge, an $80 charge. There'll be tipping up to 20%, 15 to 20%, depending on the line, on top of the standard fee for food. Region 7 Seas, 6-star cruise line, no tipping expected. Ponant Cruising and French company, luxury mega yacht kind of ships, no tipping. And Ritz-Carlton, the Ritz-Carlton people have just released their third, fourth ship now. No tipping, no tipping expected. It's all included in your fare. You are paying top dollar for these cruise ships. I know that. I've said it before. But sometimes I just appreciate, I actually do appreciate it when you just tell me the price that's all inclusive. I don't want to pay extra for internet. I don't want to pay extra for a room service delivery. I don't want to pay extra tipping for drinks. As a matter of fact, I would prefer the drinks included, at least standard drinks for beer and wine at lunch, dinner, and then you can charge me for a drink afterwards, I suppose. But the tipping is not expected. Interesting. Spa services, I get it. You go into the spa section of a cruise ship to use the spa facilities. My attitude on it is you have a daily charge to use it, but I don't expect the tipping charge to be added to it. But maybe I'm old school. But I do know that a lot of people who are not very savvy with cruising, they're new to this, they go get a massage, and then they try to sell these people all kinds of creams and oils and skincare products at ridiculous prices, and then they expect a tip on top of the tip that's already been included in the treatment. They really go after them. And I have heard in the past that from 10, 15 years ago, I've heard that top income earning staff members on cruise ships work in the spas. And if they're really good at it, they're really hauling in 80,000 to 100,000 a year from their work, because they're working for a corporation that is leasing space, renting the space on the ship from the ship operator. So when you go into a spa on a cruise ship, you're not dealing with the cruise line directly. Now you're dealing with a contractor that is paying the cruise line to operate the spa, and their employees are paid a base salary, and they make their living from gratuities, and so they really hit you up for it. Now, in some cases, if it's already 20%, 18% built in, and a masseuse knows that today they're going to do 3 massages in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. They're going to do 6 treatments today, and they're getting maybe a $15 tip per person. They're getting $90 today in tip money. If they can generate that 5 days of the week, that's $450 a week. But that isn't top dollar, is it? They might get $30 a massage, $40 a massage plus tip money. These massages are $120 to $150 for a 1-hour treatment. You're going to pay 15% on the $150. That's $22.50. Does the masseuse get all of it, or do they get 80% of it, and 20% is divvied up among the folks in the reception desk, the appointment takers, everyone else? How's it divvied up? I don't know, but even if you were getting $20 in tip money for a massage, how many physically can you do in a day with your hands? 6 a day, 6 massage. That's 6 1-hour massages a day, 7 days a week. I don't know. Is that doable? Is that mandatory? Do they get at least a day off to rest? Maybe 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. I don't know, but I don't know how they come up with the big bucks, but they do. They say they do. They must get percentages of the add-ons that you're getting hit up on. Ritz-Carlton, no tipping. Ponat, no tipping required. Region 7 Seas, no tipping. Virgin, no tipping. And everyone else, there's a charge. And I'm sure there are other lines. I haven't gone through every single cruise line. We don't have the time for that. But very interesting how that works. Thank you all. Shane, I worked the service industry all through my 20s, relying on tips to pay for school. Now I'm happy to pay it forward. Hospitality industry works hard. My daughter is the same way. Just so you know, my Jennifer Jr., she during her university years worked as a waitress For 2 years, she worked at a private club here in Calgary, and a very nice place. She enjoyed it very much, and she made very good tip money. But she found that the most money she made was when she started working as a waitress in what we would call a pub kind of a restaurant, which is lots of beer, lots of different varieties of beer available, but also burgers and fries and poutine and clubhouse sandwiches and uh, you know standard tavern fare. The regulars would come through there all the time, and the owner of that restaurant and pub had a good business going, and she would tell me that if she could work, she would work 4 shifts a week. She would work, say, Saturdays and Sundays, and maybe a Tuesday night and a Thursday night. In those 4 shifts, she would be making like 1,000 a week in wages and tips as a full-time university student. And so she got through university with a very small student loan at the end of it all. She didn't have that much of a student loan at the end of it all. Well under $50,000, and she went to school for 8 years. She did her master's, and then she did her doctorate. Or how did that work? No, she did her regular degree and then her master's. I get confused. But tipping really paid her way through. It was something. It was hard work, and there were stories. Sharon, I still prefer the Oasis class ship design with the running track on the 5th floor instead of having to dodge people coming out of the buffet while trying to exercise. Kevin Chapman, nice to see you tonight, Bruce. Hope it's not too hot where you are. 68 today. Here in Central Jersey, it's a low humidity, 80-degree day today, and wonderful. Thumbs up, number 23 tonight. Thank you. Best to you and Jen for the upcoming travels. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. The author himself is here. Sylvia, hi, Bruce. Number 24, very warm here in Greensboro, North Carolina. 81 and sunny. Winter is over, isn't it? I have never been in a specialty restaurant. The main dining room is good enough for me. Shane, they really nickel and dime you once on board. I unfortunately had to avoid all the specialty restaurants on our last Royal Caribbean. There's something to be said for true all-inclusive. There you go. Larry, temperature 75, gas 325 a gallon. I'm number 27 from Atlantic City. Larry Blake, thank you, man. Appreciate the thumbs ups, everybody who's watching, and thank you for saying hi to me. Tell me where you're watching me from. What's the price of gas where you're hanging out? What's your temperature today? Are you going on a cruise this year? 2 cruises, 3 cruises, 4 cruises? What's your experience with tipping? I remember being on the Norwegian cruise ship with my daughter, Jennifer Jr. And we did a trip that started in Southampton and went into the Mediterranean and into Italy, and we ended up in Barcelona. It was like I think it was what was it, Bruce? 12 days, something day cruise, something like that, 12, 14 days. We enjoyed it very much. It was fantastic. We had very good weather, very calm seas, great. And the two of us enjoyed, we went to the Italian specialty restaurant, I think twice. Steakhouse one time. That was our second last night. We went out to the steakhouse. We ate in they had a Chinese kind of restaurant on board. We did that, and the main dining room, and the buffet, and we just we mixed it up and enjoyed it. We had our standard tipping charge added to our bill. I may have prepaid it. I don't remember. But what struck me was on the last full day of the cruise, not the day we were departing, but the day before, that last full day, all day long, from 9 in the morning until 9 at night, there were people lined up at the customer service counter, getting their tipping removed from their bills. And it wasn't because the ship was faulty or that we had rough weather. We didn't have an incident. Everybody enjoyed themselves. But I found out from some other passengers, passengers shoot the breeze, and found out from another couple passengers that they were telling me that a high number of the cruisers on board this Southampton departing cruise to ultimately Barcelona were British. They were from the UK. And in the UK, this is back in 2008, 9, 10. Tipping was like no way. Like we don't pay tips. Uh, you should be paid enough as a wage to do the job you do. Tipping is a single cash thing, private only, not a charge, not a mandatory charge. And I found out that later that half the ship's passengers, half of them, canceled out their tipping. They would not pay it, and I found that surprising. We left ours on, but I found out about when I started this channel in 2017. I heard something around. I think it was around 2018. I heard that one of the cruise lines in the UK, and it might be P&O Cruises, if I'm not mistaken, they removed tipping. They removed the tipping fee, and there was no tipping expected anymore. But I found out that what they had done is they just charged, um, $70 more for the week for all passengers. So it's a $10 add-on to the fare instead of a $15 a day tipping charge that a third of the people would remove. And so the crew got just as much money anyway, but now it was spread out over the entire ship. I would prefer that the cruise lines just charge us a fare that pays the crew what they would get now on a good tipping run. I'd rather have it be inclusive. I don't even want specialty dining restaurants charging more. I would really prefer that that is not the case. Now I understand if you're going to run a steakhouse and you've got filet mignon and lobster tails and shrimp on the barbie and crab and the really expensive stuff just in a specialty restaurant. Well, guess what? Every passenger is just going to go there as many times as they can because it's not an extra charge. Fair enough. I say let's reverse that, and why don't we just zero in on the dining room like we used to, and make the dining room the experience it once was, with fantastic selections uh, at no extra charge. But unfortunately, in today's, I guess, cruising world, where you've got 4,000 to 7,000 passengers on a ship now, you can't have a main dining room handling them all. I mean, I can imagine back in the day. I always love thinking about being a 50-year-old executive in 1952 at the top of my game, and my corporation that I'm involved with is sending me to head office or a branch office in London, England, from New York. I work in New York, and now I have to go to London for business meetings, the annual meeting, whatever the reason. And I would be shipped over there by ocean liner because in '52 didn't have jets. In 1949, 50, 51, prop planes weren't necessarily the luxurious way to go. But if you were a high-end executive, you were not going to be subject to these rigorous travels. You would be put on an ocean liner, and you would be put on with your wife on an ocean liner because it would be expected and it would make sense to go over to the UK, do 3-4 days of business once you're there, perhaps go to the continent, to Europe, and perhaps do business in France and West Germany at that time, perhaps Italy, and then some vacation time for a week or 10 days, and then back to Southampton or to Le Havre in France, and catch the ocean liner back to New York. In those days, I envisioned traveling in those days where there were maybe 1,500 to 2,000 people on a ship like the Queen Mary, the original, or the Queen Elizabeth, and or the SS France at that time, and so on. You can imagine that in those days you would have 2 to 300 first class passengers only, and then you'd have 1,500 uh, tourist class, let's call it, and you would be in the first class. I mean, if your corporation was sending you to the UK and France and West Germany to do business on their behalf, and you were senior vice president, president, you were not going tourist class. There's that. It was unthinkable. You would be going with your wife, all passage paid for, in first class. And of course, what would you be doing in first class every day? If you're a businessman worth your salt in the evenings, and your wife would be assisting you in her own unique way, you are a promoter of your business, because you never know who other passengers might be on board the ship you're on, going or coming back to Europe or the US. And it could well be that there might be a potential huge account that your firm could score a deal with right on the ship itself. And next thing you know, you've got businessmen talking business in first class in the smoking rooms, and taking a walk on the promenade deck and whatnot. Yeah, I can imagine there would have been some real business done there. And of course, your wife would be very active with the wife of the other party, so that they're busy doing their thing, and the guys are busy having their little chat and getting to know each other. What a life that would have been in the early 50s after the war, with the US dollar king currency around the world, being well paid, and enjoying this kind of travel. That would have been something else. Oh my, to go back in time, to take a flux capacitor. Anyway, what can I say? Thank you all so much for being here. And Susan Starry, I will be going on a Carnival cruise in September. I'm going to a steak restaurant first night of the cruise. Right on. Sylvia, I prepay my tips. It just gets added on the total charge of the cruise, and sometimes I give the room steward extra cash. And there you have it. Absolutely. Yeah, Jen and I, the last cruise we were on, we did the steakhouse. We've done the steakhouse on every cruise we've taken, I think, when one is available. I know we did a couple Princess cruises out of Los Angeles down to Mexico and back, and we always hit the steakhouse certainly once out of the 7 nights. But I got to tell you, I love the buffet. I love buffets. If they're a good quality, I think nothing of being in my polo shirt and casual pants and runners, and going into the buffet. Uh, if I see something I really like, I'll get a little extra of that one item, and chintz on the others. And then it comes dessert time, and you've got 20 different selections. I mean, how great is that? I do enjoy that, and taking our time, or being in a hurry, or we want to go to the casino later, so we'll do the buffet, go for a walk on the promenade deck, just get some fresh air, and then work our way to the casino for a half an hour or an hour, and then schlep our way back to our cabin. Hit the bed and just watch a bit of TV and go to sleep. I talk about a vacation. I love it. Just love it. Anyway, there you go. That's today's Modern Traveler. Interesting stuff. Let's take a look one more time here at the poll question of the day. 31 of you have attempted to take the poll question of the day. I thank you for those all of you who have taken the poll question. It says here, have you ever tried to adjust the daily tipping fee on a cruise? 10% say, yeah, we've tried that. 90%, nope, never bothered. It's that's kind of normal for North America, I would say. For North Americans, we're so used to the tipping culture that, we knew going in they're going to add this tipping fee to our fare. So likelihood is that we're, prepaying it, and we're used to paying tipping. It's just in the last couple of years where we have noticed some really outrageous tipping fees being added now to our bills. And Norwegian is leading the way with upsetting most passengers. I would imagine that most new cruise ship passengers to Norwegian. If they've been on Princess, they've been on MSC, they've been on other cruise lines. They come on to Norwegian and they can't believe what everything is extra, what you got to pay extra for, and then what the tipping charges are. Pretty high stuff, but Norwegian is not. This is not strange for them. This is kind of normal. Sharon, here's a hidden gem: the Solarium Bistro on the newer Royal Caribbean ships. It's a low-key, high-quality, limited buffet that doesn't cost ever, and that is really pleasant. There's something interesting. I noticed also on some of the Princess ships we were on, they would have their let's call it the coffee bar or the cappuccino bar, where you have to pay for a specialty coffee. But off to the side would be this glass enclosed refrigerated display case full of pastries, variety. Everything in there was free. So a lot of people would go for a latte, but they'd forget I can get a pastry for nothing. And so some of these are decadent. I mean, they're wonderful tiramisu and walnut encrusted chocolate filled croissants. Really nice stuff. No charge. Stephen Butler, number 34. I just woke up from a nap. I almost missed the show. Stephen, thank you for your thumbs up today. Appreciate it. We're talking the tipping culture. Yeah, you get the specialty coffee, and it's $4, $5, whatever it is. But you get now a piece of pastry that in a land bistro in your hometown. If you went into a Starbucks or you went into a mom and pop bistro shop, that pastry is $4, $5, $6, and here it's free. So that covers the tip on the coffee, don't you think? Well worth your while. I remember one time Jennifer and I were on the cruise, the Princess Cruise, and I was kind of peckish. I was hungry, and we're going to she was going to get a cup of tea, and I was going to get a latte. And I said to Jennifer, order your tea and order a tiramisu. She said, well, I'm not hungry. I said, no, it's for me. Oh, okay. So she ordered a tiramisu. And then I ordered my coffee and I ordered a tiramisu. And brought it to the table. I ate them both. I didn't want to be seen as a greedy, high needs passenger that said, I need 2 tiramisus for myself. So I thought, I'll do it this way. I'll sneak the second one. No big deal. Nobody knows. Stephen, Bruce, do you have tips on the day trip to Thunder Bay on a day trip? Best things to do and good places to eat in Thunder Bay, Ontario, in Canada? I do not. I'm sorry. I have been in that city maybe twice in my lifetime as a 8 and 10-year-old, maybe. I know once for sure I was there, but that would have been approximately 1965. And so I can't help you. So I don't know what to say. Now, you're an American, so you're going to be in Thunder Bay. If you're on the Great Lakes cruise, I don't know if you've been to any other Canadian cities so far, but when you get there, you definitely want to look up at Tim Hortons. Tim Bowman, on Princess, the cafe is really good and also has sandwiches that can be heated or eaten cold. On the Majestic, it was on deck 5 off the Piazza. That's right off the Piazza. Another good restaurant they had, I don't know if they still have this or not on the Princess cruises, but Jen and I, on our first cruise, this was not available, but on our second Mexican Riviera cruise, they had a pizzeria restaurant, and it was no charge. It was no cost to go into it, right off the Piazza, the big lobby, and with the glass elevator. And they had this oven built in that was only about a foot and a half high, and about 5 feet wide. And they would produce. They were the dough was pre-made, but they spread the dough out, and then they put toppings on. You had about 10 choices to put on your pizza. And on the last time we went to that place 3 times in one cruise. And the last time I asked, would it be possible to add this topping and this topping onto one pizza? They said, no problem. And so I got a double topping, 2 different styles of topping on one pizza. custom made, and it was a thin Italian kind of style with the mozzarella chunks of cheese on there. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure, is it still running? Do they still have it? We got Tim going, yes, Alfredo's for pizza, but it's a charge now. Free pizzas available elsewhere. Right. Okay. Well, at the time we went on, I think it was brand new, and they wanted to get a buzz going, and so you didn't have to. There was no charge to go there. They had a seating area for about 80 people. They had Italian music kind of playing in the background, the mandolins and the fiddles and stuff. It was delightful. And Jen and I went, I think, 3 times on a 7-night cruise in there for dinner. It was that good. We loved it. Anyway, let's see here. Sharon, my tip is to go to Google Maps, see what's near the cruise port, and then check out the restaurant sites and menus. There you go. I do that whenever I travel, and has always led me to good restaurants. Tim Bowman, we just get one pizza at Alfredo's and split it. It's really good. Yeah, those thin crust pizzas are fantastic. Just very Italian. By the pool deck on Princess, I remember they had on one end of the pool, they had the hot dog, bratwursts, burger stand, French fries, and diagonally on the other end of the pool deck was the pizza guy cranking out pepperoni, cheese pizza. I'm trying to remember any other versions of pizza. They had 2 or 3 going, and they were constantly bringing them through and then cutting the slices, and you could grab. They'd hand you a slice. It was no charge for either of those, so you could eat all you want. And why not? The cruise line was brilliant to do this. They offered burgers, fries, hot dogs, bratwursts to passengers who would fill up. And now they didn't have enough room to hit the buffet and destroy the buffet. And that saved the cruise line a lot of money because you're eating such cheap food. To crank a pizza on a cruise ship, $2, $3 to make a pizza, and you can get 150 passengers not eating dinner at the main dining room tonight. The cruise line's saving money. 150 meals not being done with salad, the main dish, dessert. Yeah, now they're missing out perhaps on alcohol sales, but on the other hand, no. These passengers who can consume alcohol, if they're going to have their pizza and burger and dogs, they're going to drink beer at pool deck, and then they're going into the casino or to the show later and have a drink afterwards. So yeah, brilliant. Convincing cruisers to eat cheap produced food, super cheap food, rather than the good stuff that we would have been pampered with in 1952. Even in tourist class, it would have been quite nice back in the day. Just saying. It is what it is. Well, folks, thank you for joining me tonight. It's great having you with us. 32 votes have come in on the old poll question. We got some thumbs ups going tonight. I appreciate that. 34 thumbs ups and still counting. If you're able to hit the thumbs up button, please do. And if you want to do the poll question, by all means, let me know. But thank you all for joining me this week. I look forward to seeing you next week. We'll keep updating you on our schedule and our timing for our next trip. And hopefully we can get together. Stephen, I just looked up Tim Hortons. They have 15 different locations in Thunder Bay. They must be on every corner. We'll try one of them. There you go. It's coffee and a donut, coffee and a bowl of soup or a sandwich, or they always have something new and special and unique. It's Canadiana. It's Canadiana. There are more Tim Hortons than McDonald's in Canada, and KFCs for sure. Robert, see you tomorrow morning. You got to share. Have a great week, everybody. Tim Bowman, Timbits. That's right. The middle of the donut. You got the Timbits. You can get a box of 12 or 20 or even 60 and get a variety of Timbits. Or you'll be chomping those. Stephen Butler, you must try a maple donut. There you go. Sometimes they come up with special themed donuts. I'm not sure if they have maple bacon donuts. I'm not sure if they have those, but I love what they call the Boston cream donut. And I love the crullers. Those look like tractor truck tires. So I love those. But I'm a sucker for apple. What's it called? Apple fritters. Tim Hortons apple fritters with a coffee. Yeah, that's Canadiana. That is Canadian. Jennifer and I used to go to our one and only Tim Hortons in Creston when we lived in British Columbia, and we would pop in there, go through the drive-through, get a double double, which is a double cream, a large double cream, double sugar, or I'd get a double cream and one Splenda in a large coffee. She'd get a decaf coffee, and then we'd each get some treat, and we drive out of town about 5 minutes out of Creston and stop and look over a vista of mountains and a super beautiful mountain lake and enjoy our coffee, which is now cool enough to drink because it's cooling off over time, and enjoying the little pastry from Timmy Hortons and talking about our viewers on TWB and on the stock market channel and asking ourselves, how much longer can you keep this up? Always good. So if you get a chance to go to Timmy's, good luck to you. Check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful rest of the week, everybody. And we'll see you next Monday, and we'll talk about whatever comes up, and we'll take it from there. I'm looking forward to taking you on our upcoming trip. Sharon, Bruce, I remember that was your big date with Jen during COVID. We'd go to Timmy's in the car, and we have our masks on. They'd have their masks on, and hand the coffee through the window. Yep, and then drive out, enjoy. That would be our outing to get out of the house. Nothing wrong with that. Stephen, I will try the Timbits and one of each of the donuts. I am getting hungry already. My wife will love the coffee. There you go. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you here next week on Traveling with Bruce. All the best to all of you. Don't forget to hug someone you love a little longer next time you see them. You never know when it's the last time. And we'll catch you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.